ஒரு அது எம்எல்ஏக்கள் உட்கார இடத்துல ஒரு தோழர் உட்காராரு பாருங்க, அவர் யாருன்னு கேட்டு பின்னாடி போக சார், பின்னாடி உட்கார சார். அது எம்எல்ஏஸ் உட்காருதில்ல, அது நீங்களே பாருங்களேன்பா, நான் இங்கேருந்து பார்த்து சொல்லணுமா? அவ்வளோ பேர் நிற்கிறீங்க. பின்னாடி யாரும் நிற்காதீங்க. அந்த பின்னாடி நடந்து வந்த 2 தோழர்கள் அட்வொகேட்ஸை தவிர்த்து வேறு யாரும் அங்கே வரவேனா பின்னாடி உட்காந்துருங்க, அட்வொகேட்ஸோடு உட்காந்துருங்க. இந்த கவர்மெண்ட் அட்வொகேட்ஸ் மட்டும்தான் அங்கே உட்காரணும். மூர்த்தி அதை பார்ப்பாங்க. இங்கே ஒரு சேர் போட்டு உட்காரு, இங்கே எம்பிஸோடு உட்காருங்க. இங்கே ஒரு சேர் போட்டு ஏப்பா ஸ்ரீராம், ஒரு சேர் எடுத்துருவாங்க. மேயருக்கு ஒரு சேர் போடுங்க. அங்கே போடு எம்பிஸ். சென்டரா போடு. இல்லை கொஞ்சம்
Good evening, sir.
கொடுக்க சொல்லு, கொடுக்க சொல்லு.
எவ்வளோ நேரம் ப்ரோக்ராம்? 1 hour போயிடும். எத்தனை பேர் எல்லாரும் பேசுகிறாங்க? பேசுகிறாங்க. பின்னாடி ஓகே, அது திறந்துடுவீங்களா?
சார் வாங்க சார் வாங்க. தமிழ் சார் வாங்க சார். கொடுக்க சொல்லுங்க டீ காஃபி சார்.
திரும்ப கீழே போயிட்டு வரோம். பாஸில் 450 420 போயிடுச்சுண்ணே. பாஸை ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடலாண்ணே. 400 வேகன்சி
போதும்
மிச்ச
போதும்.
பாஸ் கொடுத்துறேன்.
ஓகே ஓகே. பாபு அங்கே நிற்கிற அந்த 3 பேர் உள்ளே போய் பின்னாடி உட்கார சொல்கிறேங்க. அங்கே பின்னாடி நிற்கிறாங்க பாருங்க அங்கே. சரி சார்.
லீகல் பெட்டர்னிட்டிஸ்னு இருக்குங்க. லீகல் பெட்டர்னிட்டிஸ் நக்கீரன் கோபால் போடுங்க. நான் சொன்னீங்களே நக்கீரன் கோபால் சீனியர் சீனியர் எடிட்டர்ஸ் ஆஃப் பிரிண்ட் அண்ட் விஷுவல் மீடியா. சரி கவர்மெண்ட் அட்வொகேட்ஸ் லீகல் பெட்டர்னிட்டிஸ் பெட்டர்னிட்டிஸ்
இல்லை எல்லாருக்கும் கொடுக்க சொல்லு. அண்ணா வாங்க. அண்ணா இங்கே வாங்க. அண்ணா இந்த பக்கம் வந்துருங்க. இதான் இங்கே இங்கே அங்கே 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 வீடு அப்படி வாங்க. இதில் உட்காந்து இதில் உட்காந்துருங்கண்ணா.
அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கம். மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் இன்னும் சில நிமிடங்களில் விழாவிற்கு வருகை தர இருக்கிறார்கள். மாநிலங்களின் உரிமைகள் சார்ந்த மகத்தான ஒரு வெற்றியினை மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தில் பெற்று தந்துள்ளார்கள். இந்த வெற்றி என்பது தமிழ்நாட்டிற்கான வெற்றி மட்டுமல்ல, ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநிலங்களுக்குமான வெற்றி, ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநில உரிமைகளுக்குமான வெற்றி. இந்த வெற்றியை நாம் பெறுவதற்காக வாதாடிய மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர்களை சிறப்பிக்கவும் பாராட்டவும் இந்த இனிய நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது. இவ்விழாவிற்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சர் பெருமக்கள் அனைவரையும் வருக வருக என அன்புடன் வரவேற்கிறோம். விழாவிற்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய மாண்புமிகு நாடாளுமன்ற சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினர்கள், மதிப்பிற்குரிய பெருநகர சென்னை மாநகராட்சியின் மேயர் அவர்களையும் அன்புடன் வரவேற்கிறோம். We welcome our honorable ministers, esteemed member of Parliament and Assembly, our chief secretary, esteemed guest. We welcome you all. Good evening to you all. And our champions of this event also arriving here. Today we stand on the cusp of history, basking in the glory of monumental victory that has redefined the essence of federalism in India. The Supreme Court delivered a landmark verdict declaring the Tamil Nadu governor's delay in assenting to 10 crucial bills as unconstitutional, a triumph that echoes across the nation. At the heart of this victory stands a leader of unparalleled vision, courage and resolve, our beloved Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thiru M.K. Stalin avargal. This victory is a testament to the resilience of Tamil Nadu governments in protecting its constitutional rights. The Supreme Court's ruling reaffirms the governors must act in accordance with the advice of state governments, reinforcing the principles of federalism. Today, under the esteemed leadership of Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, we honor the senior advocates who made this historic judgments possible. Let us begin by extending a heartfelt welcome to our distinguished senior advocates. We welcome Thiru Mukul Rohatgi, former Attorney General of India, renowned for his precise arguments in the Supreme Court. Due to some personal reasons, Thiru Mukul Rohatgi unable to participate in this felicitation. Thiru Mukul Rohatgi அவர்கள் வர முடியாத சூழலில் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு கடிதம் ஒன்றை அனுப்பியிருக்கிறார்கள். அக்கடிதத்தினை இப்போது வாசிக்கிறேன். Dear Chief Minister, due to some personal difficulty, I am unable to participate in this felicitation. I request Mr. P. Wilson, Senior Advocate and Rajya Sabha Member, to receive the memento on my behalf. And today we welcome Senior Advocate, MP, Dr. Abhishek Singhvi avargal, known for his intellectual advocacy and commitment to social justice. We welcome with a grand applause for him. Thiru Rakesh Trivedi, Senior Advocate avargal, celebrated for his deep legal knowledge and logical approach. Thiru Trivedi presented compelling arguments in this case. Thank you, sir. And Senior Advocate, MP, Thiru P. Wilson avargal, a proud son of Tamil Nadu. Thiru Wilson, a tireless advocate for social justice as ever. Our Honorable Chief Minister will arrive shortly. இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தின்படி ஒரு மாநிலத்தில் ஒன்றிய அரசின் பிரதிநிதியாக ஆளுநர் செயல்படுகிறார். மாநில சட்டமன்றங்களால் நிறைவேற்றப்பட்ட மசோதாக்களுக்கு ஆளுநரின் ஒப்புதல் தேவைப்படுகிறது. இருப்பினும் ஆளுநர் மசோதாக்களை ஒப்புதல் அளிக்காமல் நிலுவையில் வைத்திருக்கலாம், மறுப்பு தெரிவிக்கலாம் அல்லது குடியரசுத் தலைவரின் பரிசீலனைக்கு அனுப்பலாம். தமிழ்நாட்டில் ஆளுநர் சட்டமன்றத்தில் நிறைவேற்றப்பட்ட பல மசோதாக்களுக்கு ஒப்புதல் அளிக்காமல் நிலுவையில் வைத்திருந்தார். இதில் பல்கலைக்கழகங்கள் சட்டத்திருத்த மசோதா, டாக்டர் அம்பேத்கர் சட்ட பல்கலைக்கழக மசோதா உள்ளிட்ட 10 முக்கிய மசோதாக்கள் அடங்கும். இந்த மசோதாக்கள் மாநில அரசின் முக்கிய கொள்கை முடிவுகளை செயல்படுத்துவதற்கு அவசியமானவை, ஆதாரமானவை. ஆனால் ஆளுநரின் தாமதம் மாநில அரசின் முன்னேற்றங்களுக்கும் செயல்பாடுகளுக்கும் தடையாக இருந்தது. இதனால் தமிழ்நாடு அரசு ஆளுநரின் செயல்பாடுகளை எதிர்த்து உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தில் வழக்கு தொடர்ந்தது. இந்த வழக்கு மாநில சுயாட்சி மற்றும் கூட்டாட்சி கோட்பாடுகளை மையமாக கொண்டு இந்திய அரசியல் அமைப்பில் ஆளுநரின் பங்கு குறித்த முக்கியமான கேள்விகளை எழுப்பியது. இந்த கேள்விகள் தமிழ்நாட்டிற்கான கேள்விகள் மட்டுமல்ல, ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநிலங்களுக்குமான கேள்விகள், ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநிலங்களின் உரிமைகளை பறைசாற்றும் விதமான கேள்விகள். நீதிக்காக, உரிமைகளுக்காக போராடி களத்தில் நின்றார்கள் நம் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள். In India's federal structure, the governor acts as a representative of the union government in a state. Their role is crucial, especially when it comes to approving bills passed by a state legislatures. According to the constitutional, a governor can either assent to a bill, withhold assent, or refer it to the president. However, what happens when a governor delays action indefinitely? That's exactly what sparked a constitutional crisis in Tamil Nadu. Not only in Tamil Nadu, in various states. Governor had kept several critical bills passed by the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly on hold, including the University Amendment Bill and the Dr. Ambedkar Law University Bill, among 10 others. These bills were vital for implementing the state government's key policies. The prolonged delay stalled governance and raised serious questions about the governor's power and autonomy of an elected state government. Frustrated by this deadlock, the Tamil Nadu government took the matter to the Supreme Court, setting the stage for the historic legal battle. On April 8, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a groundbreaking verdict that has redefined the boundaries of governance authority. The court ruled that governor refusal to grant assent to 10 bills which had been repassed by the Tamil Nadu Assembly was unconstitutional. This judgment is a milestone not just for Tamil Nadu, for every state in India. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் இந்த வழக்கில் மாநில அரசின் உரிமைகளை பாதுகாப்பதற்காக பல்வேறு முயற்சிகளை மேற்கொண்டார்கள். அவரின் தலைமையில் தமிழ்நாடு அரசு ஆளுநரின் செயல்பாடுகளுக்கு எதிராக உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தில் வழக்கு தொடர்ந்து இந்த வரலாற்று சிறப்புமிக்க தீர்ப்பினை பெற்று தந்திருக்கிறது. இந்த தீர்ப்பு தமிழ்நாடு மட்டுமல்ல, இந்தியாவின் அனைத்து மாநிலங்களுக்கும் பொருந்தக்கூடியது. பல மாநிலங்களில் ஆளுநர்கள் மற்றும் மாநில அரசுகளுக்கு இடையே மசோதாக்கள் தொடர்பாக சிக்கல்கள் நிகழ்ந்து வருகின்றன. இத்தீர்ப்பு ஆளுநர்களின் அதிகாரங்களுக்கு ஒரு சீரிய தெளிவான வழிகாட்டலை கொடுத்திருக்கிறது. மேலும் மாநில உரிமையை நிலைநாட்டியிருக்கிறது, மாநில சுயாட்சியை காப்பாற்றியிருக்கிறது. Let's break down the key points of this verdict. Delay is unlawful. The court made it crystal clear that a governor cannot indefinitely delay bills passed by a democratically elected legislature. Such delays undermine the will of the people and paralyze governance. Immediate approval ordered. The Supreme Court directed the governor to grant assent to the 10 pending bills without further delay. With this, these bills have now become law, paving the way for their implementation. No obstruction to state governance. The judges emphasized that governance must not act as obstacles to the functioning of state governments. This is powerful affirmation of state autonomy. Strengthening federalism. The verdict reaffirmed the core principle of federalism in India's constitution, ensuring that states have right to govern without undue interference. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் இன்னும் சில நிமிடங்களில் விழா அரங்கிற்கு வருகை தர இருக்கிறார்கள். I kindly request everyone to silence their mobile phones. Our Honorable Chief Minister will arrive shortly to grace this occasion. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் இன்னும் சில நிமிடங்களில் விழா அரங்கிற்கு வருகை தர உள்ளார்கள். இந்த மகத்தான தீர்ப்பின் அம்சங்களை தற்போது பார்க்கலாம். மசோதாக்களை நிலுவையில் வைத்திருப்பது மக்களால் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்ட சட்டமன்றத்தின் அதிகாரத்தை முடக்குவதாக உச்சநீதிமன்றம் கருதியுள்ளது. ஆளுநர் மசோதாக்களை ஒப்புதல் அளிக்காமல் கால வரையறையின்றி தாமதிக்க முடியாது என உச்சநீதிமன்றம் தனது தீர்ப்பில் தெளிவுபடுத்தியுள்ளது. நீதிமன்றம் ஆளுநரால் நிலுவையில் வைக்கப்பட்டிருந்த 10 மசோதாக்களுக்கு உடனடியாக ஒப்புதல் வழங்கவும் உத்தரவிட்டது. இதனால் இந்த மசோதாக்கள் சட்டமாக நடைமுறைக்கு வந்தன. ஆளுநர் மாநில அரசின் செயல்பாடுகளுக்கு தடையாக இருக்கக்கூடாது என நீதிபதிகள் தெளிவாக அறிவுறுத்தினர். இது மாநில சுயாட்சியை வலியுறுத்தும் முக்கியமான அறிவிப்பாக கருதப்படுகிறது. மேலும் இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பின் கூட்டாட்சி கோட்பாட்டை உறுதிப்படுத்தும் வகையில் மாநிலங்களின் உரிமைகளை பாதுகாப்பதன் அவசியத்தை நீதிமன்றமும் வலியுறுத்தியுள்ளது. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் ஆளுநரின் தாமதத்தை ஒரு அரசியல் சவாலாக மட்டுமல்லாமல் மாநில சுயாட்சிக்கு எதிரான செயலாகவும் கருதினார். அவரது அரசு சட்ட வல்லுநர்களின் உதவியுடன் உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தில் வலுவான வாதங்களை முன்வைத்தது. இந்த வாதங்கள் இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பின் கூட்டாட்சி கோட்பாடு மற்றும் மாநில உரிமைகளை மையமாக கொண்டிருந்தன. At the heart of this victory, our Honorable Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, whose leadership and resolve turned this challenge into a triumph of democracy. Honorable CM didn't see the governor's delays as just a political hurdle. He viewed them as an attack on Tamil Nadu's autonomy. Under his leadership, the state government assembled a team of legal experts to present a robust case in the Supreme Court. Their arguments, rooted in the principles of federalism and the constitutional, struck a chord with the judges. After the verdict, Honorable Chief Minister addressed the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly, calling the ruling a monumental victory not just for Tamil Nadu but for every state in India. He stated that his commitment to the principle of state autonomy and federalism at the center, a slogan that has become a rallying cry for his government. To further strengthen states' rights, our Honorable Chief Minister announced the formation of a high-level committee headed by a former Supreme Court Justice, Thiru Kurian Joseph Avargal. This panel, which includes former IAS officer Ashok Vardhan Shetty and Professor Thiru M. Naganathan, will study the constitutional provisions on the state rights and recommend ways to improve union-state relations. This bold move underscores Stalin's proactive approach to the governance. Our Honorable Chief Minister, Thiru Stalin's leadership has not only secured a legal victory, but also inspired a broader movement to safeguard state rights across India. இத்தீர்ப்பு வெளியான பிறகு தமிழ்நாடு சட்டமன்றத்தில் பேசிய மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் இத்தீர்ப்பை தமிழ்நாடு மட்டுமின்றி இந்தியாவின் அனைத்து மாநிலங்களுக்கும் கிடைத்த மகத்தான மாபெரும் வெற்றி என்றார். மேலும் மாநில சுயாட்சி மத்தியில் கூட்டாட்சி என்ற தத்துவத்தை நிலைநாட்ட தமிழ்நாடு தொடர்ந்து போராடும் என்றார். மாநில உரிமைகளை பாதுகாக்க மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் உச்சநீதிமன்ற முன்னாள் நீதிபதி திரு குரியன் ஜோசப் தலைமையில் ஒரு உயர்மட்ட குழுவினையும் அமைத்திருக்கிறார்கள். இக்குழு இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டத்தில் உள்ள மாநில உரிமைகளை ஆராய்ந்து ஒன்றிய மாநில உறவுகளை மேம்படுத்துவதற்கு பரிந்துரைகளை வழங்கும் பணியை மேற்கொள்ளும். இக்குழுவில் முன்னாள் IAS அதிகாரி அசோக் வர்தன் ஷெட்டி மற்றும் பேராசிரியர் திரு மு. நாகநாதன் ஆகியோரும் உறுப்பினர்களாக இருக்கின்றனர். உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தின் தீர்ப்பு இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பில் முக்கியமான மாற்றங்களை ஏற்படுத்தும் திறனும் கொண்டது. ஆளுநர்கள் மக்களால் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்ட மாநில அரசுகளின் செயல்பாடுகளுக்கு தடையாக இருக்க முடியாது என்பதை இத்தீர்ப்பு தெளிவுபடுத்தியுள்ளது. இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பின் கூட்டாட்சி கோட்பாடு ஒன்றிய மாநில உறவுகளின் அடிப்படையாக உள்ளது. இத்தீர்ப்பு இந்த கோட்பாட்டினை மீண்டும் உறுதிப்படுத்தியுள்ளது. மேலும் ஆளுநர்கள் தங்கள் அதிகாரங்களை பொறுப்புடன் பயன்படுத்த வேண்டும் என்று இத்தீர்ப்பு வலியுறுத்துகிறது. மசோதாக்களை கால வரையறையின்றி நிலுவையில் வைப்பது சட்டவிரோதம் என்றும் தெளிவுபடுத்துகிறது. இத்தீர்ப்பு பல்வேறு முக்கியமான அம்சங்களை தமிழ்நாட்டிற்கு மட்டுமல்லாமல் ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநிலங்களுக்காகவும் பெற்று தந்திருக்கிறது.
Taste.
Our Honorable Chief Minister will arrive in a while. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் வருகை தரவுள்ளார்கள். We have arrived at a pivotal moment in this historic felicitation ceremony. Our Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thiru M.K. Stalin, has graced the entrance of our venue, where he is being accorded a grand and respectful welcome with floral honors. As a leader tirelessly working for the progress of Tamil Nadu, your visionary approach and unwavering commitment to the welfare of the people inspire us all. Our Honorable Chief Minister, fulfilling the dreams of our Thandai Periyar, Perarinyar Anna and Muthamizharinyar Dr. Kalaignar avargal. Our Honorable Chief Minister has introduced transformative schemes across sectors such as women's empowerment, education, healthcare, infrastructure and environmental conservation. The Kalaignar Mahalir Urimai Thittam has empowered 1.18 crore women by providing financial independence. The Vidiyal Payanam scheme offers free bus travel for women, reducing their travel expenses and enhancing mobility. The Pudumai Pen scheme and Tamil Pudavan scheme have expanded higher education opportunities for students, elevating Tamil Nadu's educational standards. The Nan Mudalvan scheme has been instrumental in enhancing the skills of youth, enabling them to succeed in competitive exams like UPSC. Notably, 50 students trained under the scheme now clear the civil service. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களே, இந்த இனிய விழாவிற்கு வருக வருக என அன்புடன் வரவேற்கிறோம். பத்து மசோதாக்கள் தாமதிக்கப்பட்ட, மக்களின் விருப்பம் மறுக்கப்பட்ட போது உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தில் தமிழ்நாட்டின் குரலை உயர்த்தி ஒலிக்க வைத்து தமிழ்நாடு மட்டுமல்லாத ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநிலங்களுக்குமான வெற்றியை தேடி தந்த மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு பலத்த கைத்தட்டல்களுடன் வருக வருக என அன்புடன் வரவேற்கிறோம். This hall is honored by the presence of our beloved leader, chosen by the people of Tamil Nadu, who stands tall in defending the state's rights. Honorable Ministers, மாண்புமிகு மேனாள் நீதியரசர்கள், esteemed Member of Parliament and Legislative Assembly, all our distinguished guests, respected government officials, senior advocates, திரு ஹிந்து என் ராம் அவர்கள், திரு நக்கீரன் கோபால் அவர்கள், ஊடக ஆசிரியர்கள், பத்திரிகையாளர்கள் என இவ்விழாவிற்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய அனைவரையும் அன்புடன் வரவேற்கிறோம். The felicitation ceremony is dedicated to honoring the senior advocates whose brilliance and dedication secured this triumph. உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தின் தீர்ப்பு வெற்றி தமிழ்நாட்டு மக்களுக்கும் நம் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் மற்றும் மிக முக்கியமாக இந்த வெற்றியை அயராது போராடி பெற்ற சட்ட மேதைகளான திரு முகுல் ரோஹத்கி அவர்கள், திரு அபிஷேக் சிங்வி அவர்கள், திரு ராகேஷ் திவேதி அவர்கள் மற்றும் திரு பி வில்சன் எம்பி அவர்கள் அனைவருக்கும் பலத்த கைத்தட்டல்களை தரும்படி அன்புடன் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். Honoring them today is a celebration of India's legal legacy. Their journeys inspire young lawyers and their commitment strengthens our judiciary. Words fall short in praising them, but let us say this: you are India's pride. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is our privilege to invite our Honorable Minister for Health and Family Welfare to deliver the welcome address at this prestigious ceremony. மாண்புமிகு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களின் விருப்பப்படி இவ்விழாவினை ஒருங்கிணைத்திருக்கக்கூடிய மாண்புமிகு மருத்துவ மற்றும் மக்கள் நல்வாழ்வுத்துறை அமைச்சர் அவர்கள் வரவேற்புரை ஆற்றுவார்கள்.
I thank and welcome our Dravidian leader, Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thiru M.K. Stalin, who struggled to protect the DMK's principles such as state autonomy and federalism. That Tamil Nadu will struggle, Tamil Nadu will win. I welcome the senior advocates for securing the landmark judgment that will reshape center-state relations in India. Supreme Court senior advocate, former Additional Solicitor General of India, Dr. Abhishek Singhvi MP, Supreme Court Senior Advocate Mr. Rakesh Dwivedi, Supreme Court Senior Advocate former Additional Solicitor General of India Mr. P. Wilson MP. I thank Honorable Chief Minister for giving this opportunity to take part in the historic event for the historic judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, invoking its powers to declare 10 pending bills withheld by Tamil Nadu Governor. The judgment was a huge victory, not only for Tamil Nadu, but for entire country. So, once again, I thank Honorable Chief Minister and Senior Advocates team, Honorable Ministers, Honorable former judges, Honorable Legislative Assembly floor leaders, Honorable members of Parliament and members of Legislative Assembly, Tamil Nadu Government Chief Secretary and senior IAS officers, senior most journalists, Hindu N. Ram and senior editors of print and visual media, members of legal fraternity, eminent intellectuals of Tamil Nadu, Vanakkam, Nandri.
Thank you, sir. வரலாற்று சிறப்புமிக்க தீர்ப்பினை பெற்றுத்தந்த மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களை சிறப்பிக்கும் தருணம். I humbly invite our Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu to the dais. மாண்புமிகு மருத்துவ மற்றும் மக்கள் நல்வாழ்வுத்துறை அமைச்சர் அவர்கள் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்க இருக்கிறார்கள். வெற்றி எனும் வார்த்தைக்கு அடையாளமான மாண்புமிகு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் தமிழ்நாட்டிற்கான வெற்றி மட்டுமல்ல, ஒட்டுமொத்த மாநிலங்களுக்குமான வெற்றியினை தேடி தந்துள்ள மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு மாண்புமிகு மருத்துவ மற்றும் மக்கள் நல்வாழ்வுத்துறை அமைச்சர் அவர்கள் சிறப்பிக்கிறார்கள். We express our heartfelt appreciation to our Honorable Chief Minister for his pivotal role in securing a historic judgment that enabled the passage of 10 bills. Your visionary leadership and unwavering dedication have made this monumental achievement possible. இந்திய அரசியலமைப்பு சட்ட முகவுரை அடங்கிய புத்தகம் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசாக வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கப்படுகிறது. தற்போது சாதனை வழக்கறிஞர்களுக்கு மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்க உள்ளார்கள். We invite Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, Senior Advocate, Honorable MP, who powerfully highlighted the adverse impacts of the governor's delay on governance. ஆளுநரின் தாமதத்தால் ஏற்பட்ட பாதிப்புகளை வழக்கு விசாரணையின் போது வலுவாக எடுத்துரைத்த நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் டாக்டர் அபிஷேக் சிங்வி அவர்களுக்கு மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கிறார்கள். The Sengol is profound in meaning which is derived from the Tamil word semmai, meaning righteousness. வெற்றியை பறைசாற்றும் விதமான நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கப்பட்டது. திரு ராகேஷ் திவேதி அவர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கப்படுகிறது. சீனியர் அட்வொகேட், ஆளுநரின் அதிகார வரம்பை தெளிவாக விளக்கி மாநில உரிமைகளை வலியுறுத்திய மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் திரு ராகேஷ் திவேதி அவர்கள். திரு பி வில்சன் அவர்கள், Honorable MP and Senior Advocate who empathized the supremacy of elected representatives in securing this triumph. மக்களால் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்ட பிரதிநிதிகளின் அதிகாரத்தை உறக்க உறுதிப்படுத்திய திரு பி வில்சன் அவர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கிறார்கள் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள். Now we warmly invite Mr. Richardson Wilson to the stage to receive the memento on behalf of the Honorable Mukul Rohatgi, former Attorney General of India, whose masterful presentation of Tamil Nadu's argument was pivotal to this victory. முகுல் ரொஹத்கி அவர்கள் வர முடியாத சூழலில் கடிதம் ஒன்றை மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு அனுப்பியிருக்கிறார்கள். அதன்படி அவர்களின் சார்பாக ரிச்சர்ட்சன் வில்சன் அவர்களுக்கு அந்த நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கப்படுகிறது. தற்போது மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர்களுடன் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் குழு புகைப்படம் எடுத்துக் கொள்கிறார்கள். ஒட்டுமொத்த நாட்டிற்கான வெற்றியை தேடி தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர்கள் இவர்கள். Thank you, sir. I invite our Honorable Chief Minister to present the mementos to our junior advocates, young legal minds who were also the part of this victory. Advocate திரு ரிச்சர்ட்சன் வில்சன் அவர்களை அன்புடன் அழைக்கிறோம். திரு ரிச்சர்ட்சன் வில்சன் அவர்களுக்கு மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் சிறப்பிக்கிறார்கள். இவர்களின் வாதத்தால் இந்த வெற்றி நமக்கு சாத்தியமாகி உள்ளது. இவர்களுக்கு பலத்த கைத்தட்டல்களை நாம் தரலாம். வழக்கறிஞர் திரு சபரீஷ் சுப்பிரமணியன் அவர்கள், மாநில உரிமைக்கான மகத்தான வெற்றி இது. மாநில சுயாட்சியினை பறைசாற்றும் வெற்றி இது. இந்த வெற்றியை சாத்தியப்படுத்திய வழக்கறிஞர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி சிறப்பிக்கப்படுகிறது. வழக்கறிஞர் திரு அபூர் மல்ஹோத்ரா அவர்கள், வழக்கறிஞர் திரு லோகேஷ் கிருஷ்ணா அவர்களை அன்புடன் அழைக்கிறோம். தற்போது இவர்களுடன் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் குழு புகைப்படம் எடுத்துக் கொள்கிறார்கள். These junior advocates through their research, advocacy and commitment have not only secured a victory in the courtroom but have also strengthened the fabric of our democracy. Let us give them a big round of applause for these young minds. நம் மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் பெற்றுத்தந்த தீர்ப்பு மக்களின் நலனுக்காக கொள்கைகளை செயல்படுத்த முயலும் ஒவ்வொரு மாநில அரசிற்குமான ஒரு கேடயமாக அமைந்திருக்கிறது. அத்தகைய வெற்றி தீர்ப்பினை பெற்றுத்தந்த மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களை வாழ்த்துரை வழங்க அன்புடன் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம்.
வரலாற்று சிறப்புமிக்க தீர்ப்பை பெற்று தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தினுடைய மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர்களை பாராட்டு விதமாக நடைபெறக்கூடிய இந்த விழாவில் பங்கெடுத்திருக்கக்கூடிய மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர்களே, முன்னாள் நீதியரசர்களே, மாண்புமிகு அமைச்சர் பெருமக்களே, நாடாளுமன்ற சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினர்களே, தலைமைச் செயலாளர் உள்ளிட்ட அரசு அலுவலர்களே, மாநில தலைமை வழக்கறிஞர் உள்ளிட்ட சட்டத்துறை வல்லுநர்களே, வழக்கறிஞர்களே, இந்துராம் உள்ளிட்ட மூத்த பத்திரிகையாளர்களே, வருகை தந்துள்ள அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய அன்பான மாலை வணக்கம். இந்த விழாவை பாராட்டு விழான்னு சொல்கிறத விட வெற்றி விழான்னு சொல்கிறது தான் பொருத்தமாக இருக்கும். இந்திய அரசியல் சட்ட வரலாற்றில் எந்த மாநிலமும் எப்போதும் பெற்றிடாத இந்த மாபெரும் வெற்றிக்கு வித்திட்ட வழக்கறிஞர்களை பாராட்டி விருந்தளிக்க எல்லையில்லாத மகிழ்ச்சியோடு நாமெல்லாம் கூடியிருக்கிறோம். மக்களால் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்ட மாநில அரசுகளை ஆளுநர் என்ற நியமன பதவி மூலம் கட்டுப்படுத்தலாம் என்ற எண்ணம் கொண்டு போட்டி அரசுகளை நடத்த தொல்லைகள் கொடுக்கின்ற காலத்தில் மிக முக்கியமான இந்த தீர்ப்பை உச்சநீதிமன்றம் வழங்கியிருக்கிறது. உச்சநீதிமன்ற நீதிபதிகள் மாண்புமிகு பார்த்திவாலா, மாண்புமிகு மகாதேவன் அமர்வு வழங்கிய தீர்ப்பு தமிழ்நாட்டுக்கு மட்டும் கிடைத்த வெற்றி அல்ல, மக்களாட்சிக்கும் மாநில சட்டமன்றங்களின் உரிமைகளுக்கும் கிடைச்சிருக்கக்கூடிய மகத்தான வெற்றி. ஆளுநருக்கும் குடியரசுத் தலைவருக்கும் காலக்கெடு நிர்ணயித்தது மிகப்பெரிய வெற்றி. அரசியல் சாசன பிரிவு 142 கீழ் உச்சநீதிமன்றத்துக்கு உள்ள சிறப்பு அதிகாரத்தை பயன்படுத்தி தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் 10 மசோதாக்களுக்கும் ஒப்புதல் அளிக்கப்படுகிறது. இந்த மசோதாக்கள் அனைத்தும் உடனே சட்டமாகி நடைமுறைக்கு வருகிறதுன்னு மாண்புமிகு நீதியரசர்கள் தீர்ப்பளித்தப்போ ஒட்டுமொத்த இந்திய மாநிலங்களும் தலை நிமிர்ந்து உச்சநீதிமன்றத்திற்கு வணக்கம் செலுத்துச்சு. ஒன்றிய அரசுக்கும் மாநில அரசுக்கும் இடையே இருக்கக்கூடிய அதிகார பகிர்வில் மாநில அரசுகளின் உரிமைகளை எக்காலத்திலும் பாதுகாத்திடும் வரலாற்று காரணமாக சாசனமாக இந்த தீர்ப்பு என்றென்றும் நிலைத்திருக்கும். இன்னும் பெருமையோடு சொல்கிறேன், இது இந்திய மாநிலங்களுக்கு தமிழ்நாடு அரசு உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தால் பெற்று தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய மாபெரும் விடுதலை. இந்த அரசியல் உரிமையை சட்டபூர்வமான வாதங்களின் மூலமாக தமிழ்நாடு அரசு முன்வச்சு வாதாடுச்சு. அந்த அறிவார்ந்த வாதங்களுக்கு சொந்தக்காரர்களான வழக்கறிஞர்கள் தான் இன்னைக்கு நம்ம கூட இருக்காங்க. இவங்க ஒவ்வொருத்தரையும் தனித்தனியாக தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் சார்பில் பாராட்ட நான் கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கிறேன். உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தின் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் முன்னாள் அட்டர்னி ஜெனரல் முகுல் ரோத்தகி அவர்களால் இந்த விழாவிற்கு வர இயலவில்லை. அவர் இங்கு இல்லை என்றாலும் தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் சார்பில் என்னுடைய பாராட்டுக்களை நான் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தின் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் முன்னாள் கூடுதல் சொலிசிட்டர் ஜெனரல் அபிஷேக் சிங்வி அவர்களை தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் சார்பில் நான் பாராட்டுகிறேன். உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தின் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் ராகேஷ் திவேதி அவர்களை தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் சார்பில் நான் பாராட்டுகிறேன். உச்சநீதிமன்றத்தின் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞரும் மாநிலங்களவை உறுப்பினருமான பில்சன் அவர்களை தமிழ்நாடு அரசின் சார்பில் நான் பாராட்டுகிறேன். அறிவில் சிறந்த வழக்கறிஞர் பெருமக்களே, உங்களுடைய வாழ்க்கையில் எத்தனையோ பெரிய பெரிய வழக்குகளை பார்த்துருப்பீங்க, வெற்றியும் பெற்றிருப்பீங்க. தனிநபர்கள், அமைப்புகள், ஏன் தனி ஒரு மாநிலம் கூட அந்த வழக்கில் வெற்றி பெற்றிருக்கும். ஆனால் இந்த வழக்கோட வெற்றி என்பது இந்தியாவின் அனைத்து மாநிலங்களுக்கும் அனைத்து மாநில மக்களுக்கும் மக்களாட்சிக்கும் கிடைச்சிருக்கக்கூடிய வெற்றி. இந்த மண்ணில் மக்களாட்சி இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் இந்த வழக்கும் வலுவான வாதங்களை வச்ச நீங்களும் பேசப்பட்டு கொண்டே இருப்பீங்க. வழக்கு தாக்கல் செஞ்ச தமிழ்நாடும் வாதிட்ட நீங்களும் தீர்ப்பளித்த நீதியரசர்களும் வரலாற்றில் என்றைக்கும் நிலைச்சி இருப்போம் என்பது உறுதி. இந்த தீர்ப்பு கொடுத்திருக்கக்கூடிய புத்துணர்ச்சி மற்ற நம்பிக்கையோடு தான் மாநில சுயாட்சி குழுவையே நாம் உருவாக்கியிருக்கிறோம். இந்திய ஜனநாயகத்தில் மக்களாட்சிக்கு வலு சேர்க்க பேரறிஞர் அண்ணா, தலைவர் கலைஞர் முழக்கமாக வடித்து கொடுத்தது தான் மாநில சுயாட்சி, மத்தியில் கூட்டாட்சி என்ற இலக்கு. அந்த இலக்கை வென்றெடுக்க இந்த தீர்ப்பை வழிகாட்டியாக இருக்கிறது. மாநில சுயாட்சி பெறுவோம், கூட்டாட்சி இந்தியாவை உருவாக்குவோம். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
வெற்றியை தேடி தந்த மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்கள் இங்கு வாழ்த்துரை வழங்கியிருக்கிறார்கள். Thank you for Honorable Chief Minister. The ripple effect of this verdict has been felt nationwide. Chief ministers from various states have hailed it as a victory for federalism. மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு பல்வேறு மாநில முதலமைச்சர்கள் வாழ்த்துக்களையும் பாராட்டுகளையும் இத்தீர்ப்பினை பெற்றமைக்காக தெரிவித்துள்ளார்கள். இதற்காக மாண்புமிகு தமிழ்நாடு முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களுக்கு பலத்த கைத்தட்டல்களை நாம் வழங்கலாம். தமிழ்நாட்டின் பெருமைமிகு மகன் MP திரு P. வில்சன் அவர்கள் சமூக நீதிக்காக என்றும் அயராது பாடுபவர். He emphasized that true power lies with elected representatives, with the governor serving as a titular head. His coordination and arguments were pivotal in defending Tamil Nadu's rights. திரு MP P. வில்சன் அவர்களை ஏற்புரைக்கு அன்புடன் அழைக்கிறோம்.
Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, தலைவர் தளபதியார் அவர்களே, Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, Mr. Rakesh Trivedi, the Chief Guest, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, Honorable Members of Legislative Assembly, the Chief Secretary, Secretaries attached to Honorable Chief Minister's Office, Secretaries of various departments, police officials, senior journalists, respected senior leaders of the DMK party, senior advocates, doctors, retired judges, respected dignitaries, members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen, vanakkam. Today, we have gathered here to celebrate a watershed moment in the working of India's Constitution. Our Honorable Chief Minister, Talaivar, has secured not only for Tamil Nadu, but for all states in the country, a truly historic judgment from the Honorable Supreme Court of India, a judgment that protects states' autonomy and the federal structure of our country and lays down the width of the powers of the governor and timelines for both governors and President of India while dealing with the bills enacted by the state assemblies. Till this judgment, no court has clearly defined the limits of a governor's or president's authority under Article 200 and 201 of the Constitution because the courts were reluctant to lay down binding guidelines for a high constitutional office. Because of this light touch regulation, some governors like us were using, or should I say, misusing the office of the governor to obstruct the will of the people and contradict the policy of the elected governments. The office of the governor was being used by the party ruling at the center to politically oppose the elected governments. The governors were not functioning as the friend, guide, and the philosopher that the constitution makers envisaged him to be. Instead, the governor was acting as an ideological and political opponent, obstructing passage of laws and policy decisions of the elected government. Our Honorable Chief Minister, Talaivar Thalapathy, took the courageous and firm decision in October 2023 that we have to go to the court to spell out the law for such obstinate governors. I can tell you on the stage that though many advised Talaivar against going to the courts, he took the bold decision to file the case because of his unshakable belief in the rule of law and the judiciary. I have seen this unwavering commitment to the legal process from a Talaivar before. On 7th of August 2018, when our dear departed leader Muttamil Aringer Dr. Kalaignar passed away and the ADMK government refused space on the marina for his burial, despite so many contrary advice, our leader put his faith firmly in the judiciary and took a decision to wage a legal battle. He showed the same ironclad will in the governor's case. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the core ideologies of Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam is to defend the federal structure. In Tamil, we say, Manilathil Suyatchi, Mathil Kootatchi, that is, autonomy at the state level and federal government at the center. The DMK founder and former Chief Minister Peraringer Anna said, just like how a court doesn't need its beard, a state doesn't need its governor. Our late leader, Dr. Kalaignar, appointed Justice Dr. Rajamanar Commission to study and submit a report on the powers of the governor. Today, through this case, our Honorable Chief Minister has enforced the recommendation of the Dr. Rajamanar's Commission. So, this is a moment of culmination of our core ideology. Now, by virtue of this judgment, no state's governor can act against the aid and advice of the state cabinet. No governor can sit over the bills indefinitely and exercise pocket veto or absolute veto. No governor can exercise his subjective discretion on the bills sent to him for assent. Timelines have been set out in the judgment for performing functions of both governor and president of India, ranging from 1 month to 3 months. That is why I said Talaivar has not only secured a great legal victory, but has written a new chapter in India's constitutional history. I also take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Supreme Court of India and Honorable Judges for their judgment. From the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud bench, which admitted the case, to the Honorable Bench of Honorable Justice J.B. Paridhiwala and Honorable Justice R. Mahadevan that delivered the final judgment, the judges showed unwavering commitment to uphold the Constitution and the laws. I would say that this judgment occupies the same pedestal as that of Kesavananda Bharati and S.R. Bommai and will form part of Constitution law textbooks for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say here that it is unfortunate that some persons holding responsible positions have launched venomous attacks on the judicial institution because of this judgment. Much ado has been made about the setting of timelines for the governor and the president and the use of Article 142 to declare deemed assent for our 10 bills. Those who are complaining today must read the judgment in S.R. Bommai's case. What was that case? What did the BJP do when its government in UP, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh were dissolved by a presidential proclamation in the aftermath of the Babri Masjid demolition? They challenged it in the courts, some in the high courts also, and those cases were transferred to the Supreme Court and taken up along with the S.R. Bommai's case. Ultimately, presidential proclamation was held to be bad in law in the case of Karnataka and Meghalaya. Similarly, Article 142 is an inherent power vested in the Supreme Court by the framers of our Constitution to render complete justice. Since the Supreme Court is the highest court of land, it must have the power to issue any direction to undo illegality and render complete justice to the parties before it. What did the governors do when this case was pending? First, he withheld assent and then he reserved the 10 bills for the consideration of the president when the court was seized of the matter. He even went to the extent of advising the president to withhold the assent. These were clearly underhand tactics to defeat the hearing in the case. In such a situation, can the highest court of the country be helpless? The classic example of the use of Article 142 is the Ram Janma Bhumi's case. Those who are calling Article 142 a nuclear weapon must remember that but for the power under Article 142, the Ram Janmabhoomi case could not have been decided the way it was. You must not nuke the system merely because you lost a case. You may not like the judgment, you can even criticize the judgment, but you should not belittle the institution. Judicial review is the heartbeat of any constitutional democracy. Without judicial review by a strong and independent judiciary, the lofty constitutional ideals, fundamental rights and guarantees will be eroded by a majoritarian government like the BJP. I take this opportunity to wholeheartedly thank and congratulate my brother senior advocates who appeared in this case alongside me. I thank Mr. Mukul Rohtgi, senior advocate, and former Attorney General of India, who could not be here today because he has a puja in the remembrance of his late father, senior advocate and former Delhi High Court Judge, Justice Awadh Behari Rohtgi. I thank Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, senior advocate and member of the parliament, and Mr. Rakesh Trivedi, senior advocate. I must tell you that all three of them devoted their fullest time, energy, and dedication to this case. During the hearing of this case, I had several rounds of discussions with all of them, number of times, and they readily participated day or night without any hesitation. They did not treat it as just another case, but were conscious that they are arguing a case that could reshape the union-state relationship in India. They put their heart and soul into securing this historic verdict for us. The judgment is testament to the brilliance of their court craft and the depth of their knowledge on constitutional law. I am grateful to all of them and I thank them again. Friends, a historic victory such as this is never the effort of one individual alone. It reflects the collective will and relentless hard work of a team committed to justice. I would like to thank the team of advocates who have worked tirelessly in securing this judgment. Mr. Sabarish Subramanian, advocate on record, Mr. Richardson Wilson, Mr. Apur Malhotra, and Mr. Lokesh Krishna, and all young lawyers in the chambers of three senior advocates. I thank the Honorable Ministers for Higher Education, past and present, the Chief Secretaries, past and present, Secretaries in the Office of the Honorable Chief Minister, the Higher Education Secretary, Public Department Secretary, and Law Secretary, who were always available night and day for giving us information, documents, and briefing us. I thank our Honorable Health Minister, Ma Subramaniam, for organizing this grand event today. I should also thank our learned Advocate General, who was also encouraging us throughout this case and was hearing about this case as and when the matter was listed. I think such an event is being organized for the first time. I am grateful and humbled for the recognition and felicitation. I want to end my speech by saying, whenever there is a threat to the Constitution, democracy, or federal structure, in the words of our leader, Tamil Nadu Poradum, Tamil Nadu Vellum. Thank you and good evening.
மக்களால் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்ட பிரதிநிதிகளிடம் உண்மையான அதிகாரம் உள்ளது என வாதாடி இத்தகைய மகத்தான தீர்ப்பினை பெற்று தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய திரு பி வில்சன் அவர்களுக்கு மனமார்ந்த நன்றியினை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். திரு ராகேஷ் திவேதி சீனியர் அட்வொகேட் அவர்கள், citing Article 200 of the Constitution, he argued that the governor must either return bills for reconsideration or refer them to the president, not keeping them in limbo. He emphasized that the governor is neither a court nor a super legislature, bolstered Tamil Nadu's position. We are proud to invite Senior Advocate Thiru Rakesh Trivedi to deliver special address.
Honorable Chief Minister Thiru Stalin, Honorable Ministers, and other friends of Tamil Nadu, and especially Mr. Ram, who represents the soul, the voice of India. I wish to say, Honorable Chief Minister, Nandari, for felicitating us, for joining you in this battle for defending the attacks on federalism. to enhance the autonomy of the state, and that opportunity was availed by us, and we were able to get this great victory for the Makkal of Tamil Nadu. Honorable Sir, this function gives me an opportunity to stand before the people of Tamil Nadu, which is the land of the great Cholas. I have been recently engrossed with writing a book on the history of India. Not only the freedom of struggle, but how the colonization began with the colonization crusades. And in the process, I learned about the history of the great Cholas, the other kings of the south. Unfortunately, in India, especially in the northern areas, we have been taught less about the history of the south. It is time that India knows more about the history of the south, more about the Cholas. The only time in history when the great Indian Ocean was controlled by the kings of India, it was at the time of the Cholas. It is the Cholas which took our thoughts, our religion to the southeast. Even today when we visit Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand and other places, we find. So we must know more about the history, and in the process not only the Cholas, the Rajshekharas of Kerala, the Pandavas, the Pallavas, the Rashtrakutas. It is the south which for the strongest period, for the largest period, prevented the Islamic forces from coming to the south. Even Akbar, great Akbar, as they say, could not cross the Vindhyas and enter the south. So this is one area. It was easy for any forces to walk into Delhi and straight walk into Calcutta. But south, even when the Bahmani empires were attacking, the Vijayanagar Empire and the other forces stood strong. This history is important because after the colonization period was over and the constitution was framed, then the states, the provinces in the south, the kingdoms in the south, they surrendered their powers to form a great country, a united country. How to unite was the question. And in the process, one of the very important idea was federalism. Namely that all states surrendered a large portion of their power to the center to make India strong. But at the same time, an exclusive zone of power was preserved for the states. The constitution is very large, as you all know, but it is large because they had to bring out how the two will relate, the center and the states, their interrelationship, and they knew that it involves friction. I'm, for one, speaking for myself, not afraid of friction, because friction leads to motion. Without friction, there cannot be motion. But friction should not cross the boundaries and turn into obstruction. If the center obstructs the states and the states start obstructing the center, how does the country remain? So federalism is very important, and it is this friction which we have seen that right from 1957 onwards, from time to time. I will not take the name of political parties because I am not interested so much in party politics. But we have seen that every center, whichever be the party, they tend to encroach upon the sphere of the state. And this is irrespective of who ruled the center at what point of time. and the states struggle to retain their power, both in the financial domain and in the administrative domain. So this struggle has been a continuous scenario, and I don't need to recount. All of you are aware of the various stages, the various forms it has taken. This particular case, which recently has been delivered by the Supreme Court, was another kind of friction. Earlier we had long back a case under section 309, who will decide? Court ruled after going through the whole constitution that it is the governor who has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. In 356 case, Bombay, again, we saw continuously the state governments were upturned and they were not allowed to rule. Once again, the courts intervened in Bombay and they laid down stricter regimen to be followed before 356 power could be exercised. So in various areas this was done, but in the present case, we came directly, a situation arose where there was a friction involving the legislature. It was a case where laws had been passed by the legislature, not once but twice. But the governor decided initially to just sit over it, take no decision for more than 2 years. And then, when in a Punjab case, the Supreme Court said, no, you have no power to simply withhold. You can't say, I withhold. You are not a boss over the legislature. You are not a boss over the Council of Ministers, much less over the legislature. In the Punjab case, it was held. Then, it was assured by the Attorney General that they will speak and try to get things resolved. What does the governor do then? The governor takes out all the files over which he has been sitting for over 2 years, pigeonholing them. He takes them out and says, I withhold, I withhold, I withhold, and he sends it back. It's a very strange. He doesn't look into the Supreme Court judgment which says that if you are withholding, send it back to the House with a message. What is it? Why are you withholding? What is it that you want the House to consider? Again, first of all, in the Constituent Assembly, it was said that this is not your power. Even to send back, it is only when the Council of Ministers says, please send it back, and they want to have a look again for some provisions, then you can send it back. There is no scope for any discretion of the governor. That is what the Constituent Assembly said. There were some provisions which said you can act in his own discretion. They deleted it. So there was no scope. Yet he ignores the Supreme Court judgment and says, I withhold, I withhold, withhold. House passes the bills again. Then he lodges it to the president. I reserve it for the president's consideration. And president grants assent in 3 cases, 7 bills again pigeonholed. So now when certain people are saying regarding this judgment that this is an overreach by the Supreme Court when they say, one, that you decide within certain time limit, and 2, when they say that you can't directly give assent yourself, you should have asked the governor to give assent. Where is the overreach? It is very surprising. The president always acts on the aid and advice. The governor is supposed to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Where was the overreach? I asked those persons, even occupying high office, look at the overreach was done by the governor. Governor was sitting over the house of the people. the legislature, the Vidhan Sabha. Constitution says we the people have given this constitution. The Makkal is the sovereign. And who represents the Makkal? They have spoken in the election. And they have elected DMK and they have elected Thiru Stalin as the chief minister. So, you are overreaching the people's sovereignty. You are overreaching the Council of Ministers. You are overreaching the legislature. There lies the overreach and the Supreme Court has corrected it. Supreme Court has said, do not cross boundaries. And I must say that the governors must read the judgment carefully, sit up, analyze it, and act according to it. It is time. The governors are not agent of the center. Supreme Court has repeatedly said that. The governor is not the super legislature, he is not the super government. In fact, in the Constituent Assembly, many voices said that he should be elected. That was turned down for this very reason, that if he is elected, there will be two power centers. So governor as a power center was declined. So all the governors, why we call them Your Excellency. So you have to excel. You don't have to obstruct. You have to excel by being conscious of your duty to uphold the Constitution, to uphold parliamentary democracy, where the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister, they are to run the government. You can rise to the occasion, you can meet the Chief Ministers, you can seek the information, you can advise, you can suggest. So act like a friend. It is astounding that a governor can ever act against his own government. After the election, the governor invites the leader of the party who has won the election to become the chief minister and to appoint other ministers. Now, the executive power is exercised to the Council of Ministers. If that is so, it is your government. Why are you obstructing it? It is a people's legislature. Why are you obstructing it? So governor's job is not to obstruct, not to hinder, but to help, suggest, advise. This is what the Supreme Court has said. Where is the overreach? And if the time limit is set, one aspect is very important regarding time limit. This question is important because Article 200 does not specify any time limit, and Supreme Court says so, that it doesn't specify time limit. Why then does it specify the time? One, under Article 200, it says governor has no discretion. If you have no discretion, you should stamp it in 7 days. Why 3 months? 3 months is too long. In an urgent act, a bill has been passed, why wait for 3 months? Sometimes you can't wait for 3 months. You have to immediately do it. And if the governor takes 3 months in an area where he has no discretion, he has to rubber stamp it. Just take it, as soon as you receive, stamp it. It's not your job to sit in judgment. That is the job of the court, to sit in judicial review. If somebody has a grievance, he will file a writ petition, challenge the act. If the court feels that it is to be struck down, it will strike down. Anybody who has to go to appeal will go to Supreme Court. So whole procedure is laid down in the Constitution. So here is a judgment which is historic, of great importance, and all the governors must take note of it, and they must act in accordance with. That is in the interest of constitutionalism, democracy, and people's sovereignty. With this, I thank once again the Honorable Chief Minister and the government of the state. Thank you.
ஆளுநர் ஒரு சட்டமன்றமோ அல்லது மேல் சட்டமன்றமோ இல்லை என இங்கும் அங்கும் பேசி இந்த வெற்றிக்கு வழிவகுத்த திரு ராகேஷ் திவேதி அவர்களுக்கு மனமார்ந்த நன்றியினை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். தேங்க்யூ சார். திரு அபிஷேக் மனு சிங்வி அவர்கள் ஹானரபிள் எம்பி மற்றும் சீனியர் அட்வொகேட், who argued that the governor's delays constituted an anti-federal act that undermined the state legislature's authority. He stressed that the governor must provide reasons when returning bills and highlighted how delays, including in vice chancellor appointments and all. Now we invite Thiru Abhishek Manu Singhvi to deliver his special address.
Thiru M.K. Stalin, Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Members of the Council of Ministers, my colleague, friends, Mr. Dwivedi, Mr. Wilson, the Advocate General, rightly referred to as the soul and voice and atma of many issues and of journalism, my good friend Mr. Ram, distinguished members of the legal fraternity, members of this distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen, Vanakkam. I was thinking that when the Sengol was handed to us, the real person who deserves the Sengol is the Chief Minister. We have done a partial disservice in not presenting him with the Sengol, because Sengol represents righteousness, and he has upheld the righteousness inherent in the ethos of a state like Tamil Nadu, which has flown for longest and consistently, irrespective in fact of political color, has flown for longest, and especially through Periyar and Anna and Kalaniyar, the flag of federalism. Wilson did me the kindness of telling me just 3 minutes before that we have to speak also. He didn't realize that a lecture had been fixed in the afternoon today on federalism before the judgment. And it's a strange coincidence that the date of the lecture has happened after the judgment. So despite his extremely short notice, my lecture was on federalism today to a large gathering of lawyers associated with the DMK party and the Congress party. So let me tell you a few interesting facets and facts about that theme before we come to the particularized issue of governors. The particularized issue in this judgment is governors. But that is in the setting of federalism. So the first aspect, I won't take very long, but it will take a few minutes because this is far too important a theme, and a theme on which the DMK and the Honorable Chief Minister have been at the very forefront. And some of them will find it interesting that the first contextual setting of federalism arises from the fact that India is planet Earth's most diverse spot. There is no more diverse spot in the world as planet Earth, with hundreds and thousands of languages, dialects, diversity of smell, food, diet, ritual, the birthplace of 4 religions on planet Earth, the largest number of 2 other religions, or the second largest number of 2 other religions. It's completely a bewildering area of diversity, to which federalism belongs more than anywhere else. Where else will you have the concept of federalism, except in as diverse a spot as India? The second aspect is that India did adopt a top-down federal structure, unlike other countries which are truly federal. For example, many states in the US were pre-existing countries who ceded their sovereignty, gave up their sovereignty to form the United States of America. That was bottom-up federalism. So today you have separate citizenship of states of USA. You have separate flags. We had top-down federalism, but we nevertheless have a concept of federalism. Now, there is no doubt that when our wise founding fathers sat for 3 years in the assembly, Constituent Assembly, the thought uppermost in their mind was the fissiparous tendencies which they were seeing. They were scared that India would not survive this horrific partition, the cruelties and the migrations. So they clearly, in design and conception, created largely a unitary constitution. There is no denying that. In design, conception and inception, it was a unitary or largely unitary constitution, which is what led a well-known Australian, Kenneth Weir, to later comment upon it and say that this is actually a quasi-federal country. He coined the phrase quasi-federal. And the Supreme Court later called it amphibious, basically unitary with some federal features. But the real point I wish to make is not that. The real point is the astonishing and remarkable paradox and story how in 75 years, in actual operational reality, India has become much, much more federal than in design, in inception in 1950. This has been called, very interestingly by scholars, accidental federalism or inadvertent federalism. But that is now entrenched. And today in the morning, I identified 6 federating influences over the last 75 years, which have made this a overall much more federal culture. The first of that was linguistic federalism, which happened in the 50s, creation of states along linguistic lines, a recognition of identities. Federalism in India is more about identities than about interests. The second was rapid, prompt, vigorous judicial review, so that the use or misuse of Article 356 has diminished considerably in the last 2 or 3 decades. There are only about 15 or odd examples. I've had the privilege of being in many of them. And this way or that way, from Uttarakhand to Jharkhand to Karnataka twice to Maharashtra to so many other states, the intervention by courts is swift, prompt and vigorous. Unlike when poor Mr. Ramakrishna Hegde lost his place in Karnataka, he filed a petition. He got relief after 3 years or 3 or 4 years, by which time governments had changed twice. So he won the principle and received no relief in practice. Classic case of operation successful, patient dies. That is not the case now, which is why the anti-federal 356 is much, much, much in check. The third influence, the single most biggest quantitative influence, is Panchayati Raj and municipal self-governance. Because another synonym for federalism is decentralization. That has happened as late as the 73rd and 74th Amendments in the 90s. So clearly, you have an army out there. When I, as an MP, go to my home state Rajasthan or to West Bengal, now from Telangana, sitting across is an elected representative of the Panchayat, and more often than not a woman. Some 20 lakh elected women, some 35, 40 lakh total people. This is decentralization, federalism at its best, a third tier of government. And similarly, municipal self-governance. So this was the third aspect of inadvertent federalism in operational reality. The fourth was the liberalization of the 1985s and the 1991 in particular, where the power of the central government and the central ministries considerably diminished. I always like to joke, and Thiru M.K. Stalin should be happy to hear this joke, that a chief minister of any state in India, and certainly of Tamil Nadu, is at least 3 times as more powerful as a cabinet minister at the center. Though both of them occupy the same level in the protocol, in the warrant of precedence. Why? Because you don't need to go to the central government anymore for many things. That is another form of federalism. The fifth was the entrenchment of regional parties. Prior to 1991, it had never happened as an organic evolutionary path. Since 1991, regional parties have been entrenched and embedded in Indian politics across the length and breadth of India, and in many times after 91, larger parts of the territory of India have been governed by regional colors than by either national parties, whether Congress or BJP. large territories, sometimes 60%. This again was part of unintended, inadvertent federalism. And then again, there was fiscal federalism, which of course has been assaulted very majorly in the last few years. But no doubt, as compared to the time when the Constitution was created, when we devolved funds approximating 30-odd%, we now devolve 41, 42-odd% funds to the states. So there has been a degree of fiscal federalism over the last 75 years. Now, having seen these developments of very cherished, desirable, operational, even though inadvertent federalism, we must turn to how, totally against the spirit of what has happened in 75, and in many cases totally against constitutional text and context, the clock is intended to be set back on federalism. Before I come to governors, take the example of fiscal federalism. I'll give you two striking examples. I'm sure chief ministers like him have many more examples in their pocket because they are the sufferers. When the GST came in 2017, an act was passed acknowledging and recognizing that states will lose revenue because GST regime will take some time to stabilize. It was decided on an ad hoc basis, no doubt, that that stabilization will take 5 years, from 2017 to 22. And therefore, for that period, a cess stabilization fund was created, whereby the shortfall incurred by states would be returned to the states by the center to compensate them for what was said to be the adverse effect of GST. This is pure federalism because actually the enactment of Article 246A itself is seen by many as an assault on federalism. The states had ceded their rights, given up their rights to collect many taxes, to put them into one hodgepodge and one pool of GST, and hence this compensatory scheme. Well, by 2020 or 21, both before and after COVID, it turned out that the total aggregate shortfall of funds due to all the states on the GST account, the shortfall, was 2,35,000 crores. 2,35,000 crores. The central government scrambled, scrounged around and produced 97,000 crores. And then, and this is what I wanted to emphasize about fiscal federalism, in a cruel twist of fate and with one stroke of the pen said, 2,35,000 crores minus 97,000 crores, namely whatever, 150 or 140 odd lakh odd crores, is written off as an act of God. So an act of God, a force majeure was mounted upon federalism without any attempt to repay in future progressive installments that which was owed to the states. Even a worse example of assaults on fiscal federalism, because this is a setting, it's a much larger setting than merely governors. This is a much larger setting of federalism. Is a little noticed article, Article 293 of the Constitution, which was created as part of our unitary structure to say that a state government cannot borrow without central government permission. That is in the Constitution itself, no problem. But that has been whittled down by government, this central government, by saying that when first we will find your eligibility to borrow. That is a parameter set down that you can be eligible to borrow on various parameters of how you control your fiscal deficit, etc. So Tamil Nadu is allowed or eligible to borrow 100. But we will include in this that which your PSUs have borrowed, which the state has not borrowed. So by adding PSU borrowing, you diminish that borrowing capacity considerably. By such states of hand, you weaken states. There have been public complaints, and Kerala in this respect, which by the way has managed its fiscal deficit remarkably well, has filed a petition in the Supreme Court saying that 293 cannot allow a whittling down of the power of the state to borrow. They are also sovereign entities, and remember, the 15th Finance Commission discussed this issue, but nowhere suggested that that which the state PSUs borrow should be included in the state's account. But the central government did it, despite the 15th Finance Commission not saying so. And that matter, hopefully, the Supreme Court, with regard to federalism, will take some interest. Turning now, of course, to the most topical, the issue of governors. We can look at it from three bases. The first basis is the Constituent Assembly debates. I would urge all of you, or most of you, to go back to the Constituent Assembly debates and read all, leave aside Baba Sahib, but even all the others on this subject. And all of them are saying thematically 2 or 3 fundamental things, which all our masters or agents of the central government seem to have forgotten. Indeed, they seem to have forgotten there's a book called the Constitution. First thing they said was that there cannot be diarchy. The word used in this Constituent Assembly debates is diarchy. There can't be 2 swords in one scabbard. Ek myan mein do talwar nahi. The meaning of this is obvious. There are no 2 chief ministers. There are no 2 elected bodies. And there is no one super chief minister sitting over another elected chief minister. Second, they said, therefore, we will nominate him. The governor, not elect him, as Mr. Dwivedi said. But then Dr. Ambedkar added a very interesting paragraph. He said, I look at governors to be purely ornamental. The word ornamental is Baba Sahib's. And I believe that the governors are so powerless, they have virtually no powers, that we will find it difficult to find people to nominate. I can understand why many of these wise old gentlemen will be turning over in their graves, seeing what governors, not in Tamil Nadu alone, Tamil Nadu is the third, starting from West Bengal and traveling to Punjab, and then Tamil Nadu is happening. So it is crystal clear that the debates did not envisage a governor, except in the rare cases of minority governments, dissolution, or maybe a report to be sent under 356, which are very special sui generis. In no manner. If it is so clear, then you look at the case law. Forget the recent case law. When was 7 judges sat way back in 74 in Shamsher Singh? Shamsher Singh says the same thing. If the governors, especially in some states, don't read, we must put some readers in their offices. It says very specifically that the powers are limited, they are nominal, they are titular, they must be bound and act only on the aid and advice. So really what is now done by this judgment in fundamental principle is not new in that sense. It is the implementation of that principle to the last mile connectivity on a new set of aberrations. The principles are well established, a very harmonious, interactive relationship. The role as an obstructionist, the role as a conspirator, the role as a negative, but only in opposition ruled states. There are governors in all states. Have you ever found a governor of the same political color acting or behaving even 1/100th in the manner certain governors in certain states behave? And did the eminence Greases, whose comments we hear left, right and center every day, from the new law which we are taught that Parliament is supreme, to the other law which we are taught that Supreme Court is overreaching itself, I want to ask a simple question. Did any of them ever comment when the bills of any state were held up for 2 years, for 1.5 years? Did any of these constitutional functionaries ask that question, how can a bill be held up for 2 years or 1.5 years? The very same persons who are today telling us that Parliament is supreme, the Constitution is not supreme, that the Supreme Court has overreached as a institution, as the final interpreter of the temple of justice, as the priest at the entrance of that temple, then we'll jolly well. And it came in the press that the government of West Bengal has filed and is about to move in the Supreme Court. Before the date when the matter is listed in the Supreme Court, the Honorable Governor passes 1 or 2 bills. He gives assent to 1 or 2, just before the date is coming. for the state of Punjab as well to pass and repass bills. And the governor cannot obstruct because that is also part of the process of passing bills. The governor cannot obstruct because that is also part of the process of passing bills. The governor of Punjab went one step further. You couldn't convene the assembly, so you couldn't pass any bills anyway. So that was a definitive judgment, but 2 or 3 issues did arise there directly. 1, time limits. 2, presidential reference. 3, President of India. These 3 issues did not arise there. And then along came the Tamil Nadu case. Now in the Tamil Nadu case, before people start shooting their mouth and be on a go-lucky, happy trigger basis, they should realize the painstaking, nitty-gritty detail in which that hearing was conducted. Not once but twice, in a quite unprecedented manner, the bench delved deep and made issues and notes on diverse issues, burning the midnight of young law clerks who did that, and then gave those notes to us and to the Attorney General, saying these are the collateral or the direct or the ancillary or the related questions which arise. Please give us your views. Please help us. Not once but twice. Time was taken by the Attorney General as by us. The matter went on over several weeks. There was careful consideration. There was in-depth consideration. There was meticulous attention to detail. Where is the question of some kind of a casual, hurried exercise? And on the 3 or 4 points which it held, I would challenge anybody to tell me any cold, logical reason except a biased, preconceived notion as to why there is a judicial error or judicial overreach, including in the references to the President of India. First, it clearly reiterated the binding nature of what the governor receives. Second, it reiterated that on a second sending by the state, the governor loses whatever little discretion he has on the first return basis. Third, conflict in the concurrent list or unconstitutionality is concerned when the bills first came to the governor. Then how on earth, on the second reference by the state government, did he refer it to the president? Fourthly, it is laughable. A bill comes to the governor, the court has said they'll be deemed assent. The court has never said that. It's being touted in the press as if now they're all deemed assent. But if a bill from list 2 comes, and Mr. Dwivedi talked about 1 week, 2 days, 5 days, if a list 2 bill which on the face of it is not conflicting with anything, on what basis can the governor say that 3 months is too short? And if a bill comes for the presidential assent, why can't he see it there and there and refer it to president? Nothing stops that. Now the presidential part. Obviously, in the case of the president, there is no reference to a further president. Otherwise, the article is identical for a governor and a president, which people are forgetting. People are blaming the judgment that the president's case did not fall for consideration, but an interpretation of the clauses of the governor would apply mutatis mutandis to the president. Because in terms of a bind, of course, I can tell you in a lighter vein that this will never arise in a normal central government versus president situation as far as the current government is concerned. I'd like to see that happening. But the point of the matter is that the same principle of 1 month or 3 months must apply to the president because the textual nature of the constitution is no different at all in any manner. In fact, the Supreme Court would be inconsistent if it applied one different interpretation for the governor and a different interpretation for the president. Then, the 6th aspect, that you are laying down time limits which are not there in the Constitution. Somebody should see the jurisprudence of this country in the last 20, 30, 40 years. Most of the seminal judgments have operated on the basis of laying down principles in what is called the unoccupied areas of the law, in the unoccupied interstices of the Constitution and statutory law. I'll give you one striking example which all workplace persons here will know, Vishaka. Sexual harassment at the workplace. Completely in the unoccupied interstices where there is no inhibition by law, where there is no constitutional inhibition, there is no restraint on the court putting something as minor as a time limit to effectuate the right, which would become remediless without that effectuation. There are innumerable other cases. Vishaka is one example. So this is again ill-informed, petty and motivated criticism. Well, friends, as I come to the end of this, I want to say that ultimately federalism is what federalism does. Federalism is all about spirit. There is this amazing paradox of the Indian Constitution, Indian jurisprudence, which we must cherish. If any of you Googles the Constitution, which by the way when it was made was one of the second or third longest constitutions in the world, and even today is amongst the longest. In the longest constitution, or one of the longest constitutions of the world, there is no word called federalism or federal. It's not there in the preamble, it's not there in the entire constitution. You will come across the word federal in several articles, but that's not the federal we are talking about. The federal there is a reference to the precursor of the Supreme Court, the Federal Court. Now, the amazing and cherishable paradox is that something not found in the preamble and something not part textually of the Constitution has been held repeatedly from Keshwananda onwards to be part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Federalism is an inherent part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Something, a status accorded only to 7, 8, 10 features. And that is not something which can be the plaything of temporary majorities. It cannot be the plaything of the vicissitudes of a particular viewpoint which the center has over states which have a different political color. The true spirit of federalism, which was supposed to contain dissatisfaction, dissent at the local level, it is a very valuable safety valve, like a pressure cooker, to prevent explosions at the center for everything. It quarantines conflicts at local decentralized levels. The main thing about it is to operate it in principle. To operate it in spirit, not merely in principle. Nobody in the Constituent Assembly or thereafter could imagine that every time there is a different political color, just because regional parties have sprung up in this country after 1991, you will violate every aspect of federalism, and the examples mushroom every day. They are born diverse, new every week. From unwanted, uninvited dinner guests to non-dinner parties like the CBI, which enters different states. And it is to our credit that we passed a section which said a recognition of federalism, that the CBI can't be an uninvited guest in a dinner party held by the Chief Minister of a state. And yet, every day we do bizarre cases. Bizarre is a mild word, where the CBI are only 4-5%, which is actually true. Which is actually true. But if you ask, which is actually true. But if you ask them the second question, they fall silent. Out of those 4 or 5%, how many cases involve coercive steps against non-ruling party leaders? The answer is 95%. That is another facet of coercive federalism. All the rhetoric about cooperative federalism, competitive federalism is only rhetoric. The reality is coercive federalism. From the CBI, from the vendetta politics, from the CBI, from the vendetta politics, from the issues of fiscal, which Stalin, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has started. It is a matter for every state. It is a matter for every state to think. It is a matter for every state to think. Because every state has to remember that saying. First they came for the Jews.
Tamil Nadu praise and celebrate intellectual people. Now we give our Tamil Nadu and celebrate intellectual people. Now we give our big ground of applause for our pride advocates, our heart of this ceremony, Thiru Muhul Rahatki, Thiru Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Thiru Rakesh Trivedi, Thiru Wilson Avargal. At the heart of this democratic process lies the fourth pillar, journalism. On behalf of journalists and guests, we invite distinguished journalist and former editor-in-chief of the Hindu, Thiru Hindu N. Ram அவர்களை அன்புடன் அழைக்கிறோம்.
Honorable, and we've just heard valuable analysis of what has happened in this judgment. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the judgment in the state of Tamil Nadu and the governor of Tamil Nadu and another delivered on April 8th, 2025, by Justice Pardiwala and Justice Mahadevan is a magnificent judgment. It's an inspiring judgment. I read the 415 pages of this judgment. Many of the lawyers here would have done that, and I think its significance is great. The media also have covered it fairly competently, I think. First, I want to felicitate our Chief Minister, and I hope Senior Advocate Mr. Wilson will have what he said translated for the benefit of our two senior advocates, Dr. Singhvi and Mr. Dwivedi, because I think it lays a clear framework of how the government of Tamil Nadu, and particularly the Chief Minister, view this judgment. I think it said quite a lot in a succinct way. As a journalist, I was surprised first. My reaction to this judgment was surprise. I did not expect to be frank, such a judgment from the Supreme Court, because I didn't know about all the work that has gone into it. I think in an earlier meeting, Mr. Wilson took us into confidence on the various twists and turns of the case, the kind of challenges it posed. But I think this team has done a magnificent service to the people of India and to our Constitution, the seniors as well as the others who are felicitated today. And as for our Chief Minister, when it first came, I observed his style and reactions closely. And as a student of history, I thought of the following words which came back in a different context. Speak softly and carry a big stick. These words go back a long time to American President Theodore Roosevelt, who said it in a sort of imperialist context, but I think we can democratize the same words, that's the style that has won the day for federalism in India, because I think this case was not without risk. It could have gone another way, who knows, but I think there was an element of risk as we pursued it, and also as was reported in the media. But at the end of the day, I think the Sengol that were given to the people who are being felicitated today, I think represent that at all. It's the secular Sengol that was given to this. And Dr. Singhvi rightly said it's the Chief Minister who should have got it. I wish we had thought about it earlier. That's the significance of it. I don't want to take much more time, but as for the role of the Governor of Tamil Nadu The moment we heard the news, breaking news, I was asked for an interview by the media on television, and my first thoughts, which I'll repeat today, was, Tanmanam irundal Rajanama seidu poga vendum. I think Dr. Veeramani also said something like that. And for those who don't know Tamil, I'll just translate it. If you have any kind of self-respect, please resign and go. And I added that we'll give you a farewell also, if you want to go. But that's the say. This is not the only instance of acting against the Constitution. Many people have spoken out against it. He tried to, of course you know this, he tried to change the name of the state, saying this is the Tamil Nadu was not a suitable name. It should be Tamilagam, and so on. And he did many other things which are not worthy of the office that he holds. So since I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a minister in the government, I can say again, if you have any kind of self-respect, Tanmanam irundal Rajanama seidu poga vendum. You have to resign. This has been said with thought. I'm not making wild statements here, because at every stage, this governor, along with some others, have thought it fit to subvert the basic structure of the Constitution, make a mockery of the office of this. And I think the media have widely noted it, particularly in Tamil Nadu. We await with great interest what's going to happen in Kerala, because the former Attorney General for India, Mr. K.K. Venugopal, a long-standing friend of mine, senior friend, has said the same judgment should apply. We shall see what happens and who's going to hear that in this. So I think I'm proud to be in Tamil Nadu, because I think this state leads India not only in the fight for federalism, but in the fight for secularism, in the fight for democracy, in the fight for freedom of speech and expression. And the recent meeting convened by our Chief Minister and the Joint Action Committee on delimitation, I think, is another example of the fight for democracy. And whatever the views, various people may have various views on these basic issues, I think it is the moral responsibility of everyone, including media people, including journalists, public intellectuals and others, to take the same stand by the Constitution of India and take a clear stand on this. And I'm really happy that some important insights were provided by our speakers before that. First, Mr. Wilson, then Mr. Dwivedi, and then my friend, Dr. Singhvi. I knew his father very well, and I had the pleasure of working with him on that significant victory to get Gandhiji's last papers back to India, back to Delhi. I remember that with great affection, the way he worked on it, and I just want to remember that. Finally, I want to thank India's top lawyers who are represented here for upholding freedom of speech and expression. In fact, there are several cases where people, distinguished senior advocates, Dr. Singhvi and others, my friend Kapil Sibal also, Mr. Wilson, Dwivedi, have come forward, often pro bono, to take up issues, whether it is Pegasus, the issue of illegal or unconstitutional surveillance, or blocking the BBC documentaries and so on. And I think we are really fortunate that the finest legal minds in India, the finest constitutional specialists, come forward to represent journalists who are challenging arbitrary and authoritarian actions. So I think this is a day truly to celebrate, and I thank the Chief Minister for giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Again, I was not told in advance, it was spontaneous, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I think we must take this forward, and I'm sure that with the help of these brilliant professionals, we will win on these issues.
For this strong note, we thank Thiru Hindu N. Ram avargal. Thank you, sir. To express our gratitude to all, to deliver the vote of thanks, we warmly invite the esteemed Mr. N.R. Elango, Senior Advocate.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Ministers, respected Dr. Singhvi, Mr. Rakesh Trivedi, my dear friend Mr. Wilson, senior advocates, and officers, including the Chief Secretary, good evening. Before giving vote of thanks, the organizers have stated that the landmark judgment that will reshape center-state relationship. In my opinion, it should be landmark judgment that will shape the center-state relationship. This is going to shape the center-state relationship year after. I, on behalf of the DMK legal wing, people of Tamil Nadu, and every citizen of India who is having a faith in the democracy and federalism, thank Honorable Chief Minister for having taken this decisive decision to approach the Supreme Court on the inaction of the governor. But for him, nobody would have done this. Not only taking a decision to approach the Supreme Court, he had continuously monitored the progress of the case, discussions, and finally guided us in achieving this great decision. I thank the senior advocates. I thank Mr. Mikul Rothiki, Dr. Singhvi, and Mr. Rakesh Trivedi for their admirable arguments. I thank Mr. P. Wilson, my good friend, for not only arguing the case, but also effectively coordinating the discussions and the entire arguments. I thank all the junior advocates who had assisted the seniors, and I thank all the law officers, including the learned Advocate General, in getting this great judgment. Dear law officers and members of legal wing, you have heard Dr. Singhvi and Ms. Trivedi. You have seen their speeches were like a beautiful river flowing. The constitution law, the very complicated constitution law has been explained to you in a very simplest terms. That is because of their hard work and dedication. I request all of you to follow that, equip yourself, and that will only make our leader happy. You all have to go and reach that level. That's my request to you. I thank all of you. I thank Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable members of Parliament, MLAs, Honorable Ministers for having come and gracing the occasion. Thank you very much.
மதிப்பிற்குரிய திமுக சட்டத்துறை செயலாளர் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் என்ஆர் இளங்கோ எம்பி அவர்களுக்கு மனமார்ந்த நன்றியினை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். We have arranged dinner for everyone gathered here. I request everyone to have dinner here and move. வெற்றியை கொண்டாடும் ஒரு மகத்தான விழா இன்று வெற்றியாக அமைந்திருக்கிறது. விழாவில் பங்கேற்ற அனைவருக்கும் மனமார்ந்த நன்றியினை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். அனைவருக்கும் இரவு உணவிற்கு ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. உணவருந்திவிட்டு செல்லும்படி அன்புடன் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். On behalf of organizing committee, we have arranged dinner for everyone. Please have dinner and move. Thank you. அனைவருக்கும் இரவு உணவிற்கு ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது. அனைவரும் உணவருந்து விட்டு செல்லும்படி அன்புடன் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். நிகழ்விற்கு வருகை தந்திருக்கக்கூடிய அனைவருக்கும் உணவு ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. அனைவரும் உணவருந்து விட்டு செல்லும்படி அன்புடன் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம்.